back to you on the Mordos podcast with the Mount Rushmore of NBA players. We debated on whether splitting this up into guards and forwards, slash center forwards. It's hard to do. Nobody that doesn't make this list, no insult to you.
Don't get upset if your boy doesn't make the list.
It's a very tough list to make anyways. Top 4 NBA players
Same as
in
the NFL
anybody's
list.
mind.
Same as the NFL QB list. I mean,
Right.
1 is easy, 3 are tough.
Right. So let's just get the elephant out of the room.
Get it out of the way.
Jordan,
MJ.
number 1. 2 3-peats, man's accolades speak for themselves. I don't want to spend too much time harping about Jordan. I think he's by far the greatest player of all time, the GOAT. In a lot of people's minds, LeBron could easily be mentioned. Kobe. There's a lot of guys that could be mentioned as GOAT. To me personally, I just feel like MJ has the accolades. He has the leadership that I would want for somebody who's making the list. So for me, number 1, I'm going with Jordan. He's my GOAT of basketball.
I concur.
So number 1's out of the way.
Enough said.
Second place, once again, 2 through 4, not in any specific order.
Give me your number 2.
Number 2, I think I want to go with Kobe. Kobe's a carbon copy of MJ.
That's so true.
The mentality he had, the audacious moments of guy gave us 60 points in his last game.
Disgusting.
5-1 in championships.
Dropped 80 in a game.
I mean, it's hard to go against. I think he's dropped 40 on every single team in the league.
I did not know that. That is an unreal stat.
So, I mean, the fact that the guy's done stuff like that is just impeccable. Jordan, Kobe, who are you gonna go with?
So
for
Kobe
your
was
number 2?
going to be on my list, so I'll just get him out of the way, so it's not
Okay.
overlapping. Kobe's on the list, like you said. Embodied Jordan, not a pure carbon copy because wasn't quite at that level, but as close as that I think you can possibly get without being a direct clone of the man. So I'm with you. Kobe's mentality alone, obviously everyone knows about it, but that's what you want your guy to be. That's what you want him to have.
Both of them had diligence, their respect for the game, their admirable, unparalleled work ethic. I mean, it has to speak for itself. So 1 and 2 are out of the way. You got Kobe and MJ.
Kobe's outworking the other guys on the Olympic team, such as LeBron, Dwayne Wade,
Carmelo
Chris
Anthony.
Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, CP3.
Chris Paul. Yep. Chris Paul, an amazing freak of ball handling and assist to turnover ratio. Guy was fantastic. Still didn't hold a candle to Kobe's work ethic, though.
Yep.
This is, to me, so, once again, Kobe's not, second to Jordan. He's just definitely on my list of Mount Rushmore. Number 3
I think
has
this is
to
where
go.
we're gonna differ a little bit.
Number 3 for me is probably going to go to Shaq because I feel like Shaq would have been the best player if Shaq had. When you watch young Shaq, before he was Hack-a-Shaq, that guy had the handles, he had the maneuverability,
Domination.
he was just Like, what more could you want from a center? I'm a fan of Boogie Cousins. Boogie Cousins is not who he is
I
if
think
Shaq
Brittany
wasn't
I think
who
Brittany
he
Griner could
was.
take DeMarcus Cousins.
I'm sure she could. Calm down, little man.
Get it
But
out of here.
so Shaq to me, like he would be all-time scorer if he had a little bit better free throw percentage. Like the guy just was an amazing player. There was no stopping him in the paint when he was young. There was almost no stopping him
Period.
outside the arc, outside like transition basketball. So it's hard for me to leave Shaq off the list. No diss to anybody else who doesn't make this 8-player list that we have. I mean, obviously we had 2 matching players, but regardless, it's still 8 players in total. Nobody who doesn't make the list was like left off because they were a bad player. I can't stress that enough. Shaq to me was just such a dominant, like, he just came out and said like, what would Shaq be if he played in the league right now? He said my name would be the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So and I agree with that. I watched LSU Shaq. I've gone back and watched highlights. I was not alive for LSU Shaq, but
Magic Shaq, Laker Shaq, Heat Shaq.
the guy definitely embodied what Giannis is.
Even that year on the Suns, he was good.
Right.
Kind of fell off once he went to Cleveland and Boston.
I remember when they signed him to Boston. I was like, why on earth did Boston? I was a Celtics fan at the time because of Garnett.
Days.
But I was like, why on earth did they sign Shaq? This was a waste of payroll.
Yeah.
But Shaq's making my number 3.
I cannot dispute that choice. It's hard to leave Shaq off any list. Like, just what the most dominant player. I mean, as far as dominant goes, most dominant player to ever do it.
Right.
But my third pick is going to go to Magic Johnson himself.
Great player.
Yeah. Once again, believe this is a little bit inspired by my father, but huge Magic Johnson fan.
My dad was a huge MJ fan.
Yeah. But Magic Johnson could do it all.
Yes, he could.
The way his handles, the man was 6'8"?
6'7", 6'8", something
Tall,
like that.
point guard.
Yep.
Right, could move like a typical point guard. Had all the handles in the world. I mean, arguably
Almost
the best
the same
passer
size
ever
as
do it.
Larry Bird, who was playing small
His
forward
rival.
at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Hella rings.
Right.
Corrupted. So Magic Johnson, my dad was the biggest Magic Johnson fan. He's told me like how he felt at the time. Obviously, Michael Johnson tested positive for HIV, and at the time, I understand no one really knew, like we know now.
A little bit of a
contracted, how
COVID
it
kind of
spread.
situation.
Yeah, a little bit. You got your freaks out there. But just the corruption that he faced, I think he was out of the league for 2 or 3 years. And then when he came back, he's a little bit older, but was still performing. Still was a baller. And was essentially forced out of the league because people were afraid that he was going to sweat on them.
Right.
So Magic Johnson got dealt a dirty hand. It's nice to see kind of the NBA and everyone else make amends with the situation now. But 6'8" point guard with handles for the time. Lake show,
Passing ability out of this world.
Man could shoot.
Yep.
His good jump shot's a little goofy looking, but he could get it done. Yeah, so Magic Johnson's on there for me.
Number 4. This will be interesting to see. Magic Johnson's a heck of a player.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to pass over that too quickly. Number 4. This is a tough one.
I'll go if you want me to.
Go ahead.
I don't think you'll like this, but transcendent shooter of the basketball, changed the game. I'm going Stephen Curry.
I could see that.
I know he's in. He's still playing. He's still putting up numbers, and he's not done. But the man swept LeBron in the finals. Second time LeBron had been swept. I'm not sorry for leaving LeBron off the list either. And Steph Curry, obviously the best shooter to ever do it. Best, like, not even close. Like, better than Reggie Miller. Better than Ray Allen. Growing up, nobody was better than Ray Allen. I couldn't imagine a player better than Ray Allen at shooting a
And it's
three-point
funny
shot.
because like just between the difference between us, the age difference, there's not much. There's 4 years. We talked about this on the podcast before, but we'll cover it again. There's 4 years between the three of us. 4 years between me and him. 4 years between him and Eli. It's kind of crazy because to me, Reggie Miller was like that guy.
Yeah, and then Ray Allen was that guy.
Right. And then you had Steph. So, I mean, and it's funny because you can watch, I think there's a picture of KD and Westbrook at a Davidson game.
Like Ohio Davidson watching Steph Curry play.
I don't think Davidson's in Ohio, but yeah. Wherever Davidson's at.
OH.
That to me is like, this was Westbrook and KD on the same team, quite possibly forming the most dominant duo that could have ever existed.
And then you throw in Harden in there.
Right.
Pointless to go their separate ways, but neither here nor there.
That's not what this video is about. But yeah, no, I mean they had an impeccable relationship and 1-2 punch between the two of them. So you have MJ, Kobe, Shaq. No.
Michael
MJ,
Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson.
The other
Stephen
MJ.
Curry. Yeah, the other MJ.
So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do what we did for you in the NFL QB one. I'm gonna give some of the honorable mentions that didn't make the list for me. I would like to talk about David Robinson. I believe he was the last guy to do a triple-double in the NBA.
Average a triple-double?
No, just or quadruple-double, my bad.
Okay.
The last guy to do a quadruple-double in the NBA.
Stat to have.
Which, I mean, at the
not
highest
counting
level
people.
is like, to do something like that is incredible. No offense to Larry Bird. No offense to
Larry Legend.
Yeah, I mean, he was amazing. Bill Russell, unfortunately, is not making my list. One of the only guys to have more rings than can fit on two hands. That's an impressive feat of its own.
I mean, Tim Duncan.
Yeah, Tim Duncan's not making my Mount Rushmore, which is unfortunate. Tim Duncan was a very technical player.
A shout out to Dirk as well, another technical player.
Right.
My favorite player.
Really?
Yeah.
It's funny because I was actually probably going to give this to a very controversial. I was going to go with the number 4 that would probably be very controversial again. Before we get there, I just want to give a shout out to some of the other players that didn't make LeBron. I'm not a LeBron fan, but you did not make my list. You've unfortunately lost too many finals appearances to
twice.
Really earn my consideration. It's just when you talk about domination, LeBron does not appear to have that. And I want to say LeBron's probably one of the best 1 through 5s of all time, which speaks volumes to the fact that the guy's not the best player of all time in my mind.
He should be. That's my argument with LeBron, is that he should be.
Right.
But he's
not.
That
is the same argument that I have. It's like he definitely could be and isn't.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate, you know. Dwayne Wade, you also didn't make this Mount
Yeah.
Rushmore. Dwayne Wade, you are a fantastic player. I watched you play as Flash. Um, there was a lot of players. Chauncey Billups, heck of a player. Um, Not that a lot of people are going to throw you on their Mount Rushmore. Chauncey Billups, you were a heck of a player, though.
T-Mac, VC,
Yeah, T-Mac, amazing player.
Penny.
Penny, oh my gosh, a heck of a player right there also. Um, I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I'm gonna give Garnett the nod.
KG. Okay.
My man KG, big ticket. Um, to me, KG was one of the inspirations when I played. Like when I embodied who I was. I didn't talk as much trash as KG did, but KG was a heck of a player. He definitely led that Boston team to their ring. KG was like the epitome of a stretch 4, stretch 5.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really have Giannis, KD, and all them without KG paving the way. KG came at a time when, you didn't really want a 4 or a 5 to do that. Vince Carter. I would like to give a shout out to Vince Carter real quick.
I said VC.
I didn't hear that. But yeah, I mean, Vince Carter was an amazing player for 2 decades.
Put my whole arm in the rim, Vince Carter. I mean, the dude was so productive. When he was on the Mavs, he was still productive.
Right. This guy, this is a man that did a lot. So no diss to him either. Give him his flowers. KG to me was just one of the most dominant. Like, this was a guy that'd go out and give you 20 and 10. This is a guy that would also give you, 8 assists if you needed it, 10 assists if you needed it. If you needed him to give you 10, 10, and 10, he would do it. I don't know how often he did that. Jason Kidd, heck of a player, would also do that. There's a lot of guys that you could put on this list. KG to me was just one of, like, the players I looked up to. The fact that he would step out a little bit and shoot. That was just, I mean, I loved watching KG play. Loved watching Big Ticket.
I loved his mentality.
Even when he was on the Nets. Like, that guy had a mentality that, you just can't match in a lot of these younger guys. The mental toughness.
In his later years, I believe he ended his career on the T-Wolves, where he began.
I believe so.
He was a beast still.
Yeah, so, I mean, you had... there was just a lot there. I don't want to, I'm not, no diss to Scottie Pippen. You just happen to play with the greatest player of all time.
Mm-hmm. And Paul Pierce, there's a reason we didn't say her name. You think you're better than all these other guys. You're not. So
Paul Pierce, Ray Allen.
Paul Pierce thinks he's better than D-Wade.
Really?
It's a joke.
I would never co-sign that. I would put D-Wade on this Mount Rushmore before I'd put Paul Pierce.
I put a lot of guys on the Mount Rushmore before I put.
First of all, D-Wade
on
was honestly one of the players that I considered to put on here.
Same.
D-Wade was an insane athlete. Deserves a lot of the accolades given to him. Kevin Garnett just happened to be one of my favorite players of all time. And this is my Mount Rushmore, so I feel comfortable putting MJ, Kobe, Shaq, and Garnett on here. I feel very comfortable with those 4. If you don't have Shaq, you probably don't have KG the way you did. So there's a reason Shaq made my list before KG. Not to say one is better than the other. You can obviously make the argument that Shaq is a better player than Kevin Garnett, but I got to give shout-outs to the guys that paved the way for a lot of these athletes nowadays. KG definitely built a lane for bigger guys to do the stuff that they did. This was a guy that he would drop into the post, give you what you needed. He could step out, give you what you needed. Didn't shoot the three the way some of these bigger guys do now, but
different era, different time.
yeah, I mean,
game was played different.
He fought hard, did what he needed to do, played his role on the teams when he needed to play it, but he was a guy that give you 20 and 10. And once again, it's a guy that I had heard stories about of, we hear about his trash talking, and I know about his trash talking, but there was a guy, I can't remember his name, something like Kevin McLeod, I believe. He was signed by the T-Wolves back in the day, and instead of buying a house, he actually stayed in like Kevin Garnett's guest house, if I remember correctly. So this was a guy kind of on that Peyton Manning level, where Peyton Manning, when he was on the Broncos, a third string came to him and asked him if he had a spare suit so he could wear it to the Super Bowl.
I love that story.
And he sent him to his tailor. I believe Kevin, I can't remember his name. I think it was Kevin McLeod. He was signed to like a 7-day contract or something. Ended up getting a little bit longer. But KG let him stay in his guest house. It was, not necessary for the guy who led the team to do that kind of stuff. But, KG was by far one of my favorite players. One of the first guys that kind of introduced, they called him Big Ticket for his contract. But he went out, did what he needed him to do. And, what else can I say about Kevin Garnett? The guy's got a ring. A lot of players don't have a ring. There's a lot of greats that don't have a ring. Mm-hmm. Charles Barkley doesn't have a ring. I think AI has one or none.
None.
AI
Westbrook's
was
got no ring.
Fantastic player.
Yeah.
Westbrook, fantastic player. Westbrook also almost made my list.
Westbrook almost was my fourth pick.
Westbrook, a guy who averaged a triple-double through not just one, but 2 or 3 seasons.
3.
I was gonna say. I don't know. We hadn't looked at this before. We
did
this a little impromptu.
Yeah, I believe he did it twice on OKC back-to-back years.
Back-to-back.
And then I think in Washington, he did it then. Or not Washington. Maybe it was 4 years. I don't. Too many.
But I mean that is unfathomable to just like as somebody who played basketball to know that like doing that is a difficult feat. And for all the people that are like, oh, his teammates let him do it.
Get that out of here, man. Get that out of here.
First of all, I hate to break it to you. Not a lot of guys are willing to actually let up on their own statistics to let another guy do something, especially when their contract is on the line, or the fact that like diminishing your own role on a team impacts your contract level. You know what I'm saying? As a guy who might average a double-double, you're probably not going to let up on a rebound a game to give it to a guy just so he can average triple-double, whether you like him or not. The NBA comes down to money, and Westbrook, fantastic player that he is, didn't make my list. No insult to Westbrook, no insult to KD, no insult to Steph, no insult to LeBron. It's just LeBron hadn't done enough. KD, not done enough. Westbrook out of the 4 of them actually got most consideration for me.
So I obviously Steph is on mine. I know mine might come across as generic, but let's be real. Steph's got the head-to-head on LeBron in the finals. Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. Most people probably have Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant on their list.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Magic Johnson, go ahead and try and debate that too. And then Steph Curry, I just said it, head-to-head over LBJ, greatest shooter of all time, better than Ray Allen, somehow, some way, better than Reggie Miller, somehow, some way. guys who you would never think you would ever see anyone better than.
Oh yeah.
Here he is.
Not to mention that guy is shorter than both of those players. Way shorter. By like 5 inches on both of them, I think.
Probably
I think Ray
50,
Allen
50
is
pounds.
6'7".
Maybe not Ray Allen.
Reggie Miller's like
LeBron.
6'8".
Yeah. Love Reggie
Or
Miller.
like
Love
6'6",
Reggie Miller and his
6'7".
trash talk.
So I mean, mind you, Reggie Miller is the guy who put up 8 points in 10 seconds, 12 points in 10 seconds because Spike Lee decided to shoot his mouth off.
That is the best 30 for 30 I've ever watched.
So
I'm proud of our list. I like our list. I like your list. I have no beef with it. I don't think you have any beef with mine. It's hard to make a Mount Rushmore for basketball.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll probably end up splitting this up into guards, forward, center, maybe. But as it stands now, my Mount Rushmore has MJ, Kobe. Who else did I throw on there? Shaq, and then KG.
My Mount Rushmore consists of MJ, Kobe, the other MJ, Magic Johnson, and Stephen Curry.
Solid lists. Let us know who you guys have on your Mount Rushmore in the NBA. But this is just the more to us take without our third co-host. We love to have him back. Love to include him in this. Let us know what you guys think. And
bring the heat. Come at us.
Yeah, let us know what you think about our Mount Rushmore for basketball. I feel like there's going to be a lot of interesting comments. You guys are going to definitely have different takes than we do. And for players that we didn't consider, there's probably plenty of them that didn't make Wilt, etc. There's probably plenty of players that didn't get mentioned in this podcast. No insult to them. But the More to Us podcast has weighed in on this topic.
We're here, baby. And lastly, let us know if you think you could beat Jacob and Neil in 2v2. Because I highly doubt it.
Strong duo.
Till next time.